Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Saturday. It is February 8th. And, there's big racing, I know, around the country, but I'm going to stick with Santa Anita. I really like their card today. I mean, it's very tough, but, tough is a good thing because I think that this card can really produce some nice payoffs today, especially in the latter half. I'm going to skip over first couple races. Nothing there that I care to bet, but I'm going to go into the late pick 5. I got a ticket that I want to play, a little bigger than usual, but I think it's going to be worth it. And it's just a matter of just playing that, staying disciplined, and hope that the ticket progresses, and ends up resulting in a nice payoff. So it starts off in the 6th race at Santa Anita. It has approximate post time about 5 o'clock. Here Central Time, so 3 o'clock there Pacific. This is a 6 furlong dirt sprint. This is a starter allowance. Now this is one of those races that kind of caters to the Northern California horses to get them down there and running. It's the starter allowance condition. This is one where you will have had to have run for 8,000 or less in the past year or so, or you can put your horse in for a 10,000 claim. So I've got 3 horses I want to put in. I think this should get things started. I'm going to put the 4 Seize the Image for Felix Rondon, and Bautista takes call. Now, Bautista is a 7-pound apprentice. I don't know much about Bautista. I'm presuming, it might have been, working up there in Northern California. He did ride this horse last time this horse did run. And, this race, I'll tell you something, it is a starter allowance I mentioned, but this really should kind of be called the Old Gray Mare Stakes because more than half this field is like 6 years old or older. But, as we talked about yesterday, it's nice to see some of these old-timers run. They still can do it. They got a lot left in there. And, let's see them compete. It's wonderful. It worked out nicely yesterday. So I'm going to put the 4 in, Seize the Image, for, as I mentioned, for Felix Rondon and Bautista. This horse ended up running second to the favorite Lady's Sermon. And I thought the horse ran a nice race there and watching the film. I think maybe an outside post, or, this kind of somewhere in the middle. He's a 4 out of 7 horses. So could be a better spot for him, or for her, I should say. And this horse might come running. So I'm going to put the 4 at 8-1 Seize the Image. I'm going to put the favorite in, Lady's Sermon, for Dean Pedersen and Acel Espinosa. Now, Dean Pedersen, as we've talked about, has, pushed all the right buttons, 6 wins out of 11 starts, this being one of them. This horse got it done at this level last time, at around 7-2 that day. This horse seems to be in good form, but, when you get to these horses that are in these lower levels, they do struggle to put together races, but, she's put together a couple wins. So let's see, maybe she can keep it going. We'll put Lady's Sermon in at 2-1. And then finally, I'm going to put the 7 horse, who was Twilight Empire, for Clifford DeLima, and Kyle Frey takes the call. Now, this horse had been running with better horses in her career. She's 8 years old, so, she's up there, and kind of lightly raced for an 8-year-old. But, she's showed some good races, in the most recent past, being a couple months ago last fall. And, I like the outside post here. Kyle Frey, certainly hard trying jock, likes winning races. And, this would be the kind of race, he can beat his former compatriots up there at Northern California that he used to ride with. And, now he's a regular Southern California jock. So that's the 4, 5, and 7 we've got to start off this pick 3. Now let's move over to the 7th race. 7th race is the feature of the day over at Santa Anita. It's 1.25 miles on the grass, the San Marcos, a grade 3. And I'm going to put 3 horses in to try to get this pick 5, continued along. I'm going to put the 2, There Goes Harvard, for Michael McCarthy and Frankie Dettori. Now, There Goes Harvard is certainly, it's been competing in graded stakes, and this is a former winner of the Santa Anita Gold Cup, or Hollywood Gold Cup at Santa Anita, I think is what they name it. But that was, back a couple years ago. But this horse has been competing on the turf. I know that these folks over at Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners acquired this horse last summer, and they've run him a few times since they acquired the horse. Once in the John Henry Turf Cup, and then also in the Breeders' Cup Turf. So this horse has taken on some nice horses. He's 6-1 today. He might have an outside shot. If the favorite doesn't deliver. But speaking of the favorite, we're going to go over to that horse. That's the 6, Truly Quality, for Jonathan Thomas and Augustin Stables. This horse is just been on a really nice campaign in his last several races. So last year, this horse did get a couple runs over the Santa Anita grass course. He ended up running twice in allowance races last winter and ran nice races. And I think it just occurred to the folks there who manage his horses, this horse just wants to run longer. Those were both mile races. Again, good efforts, but neither of them were wins. And then this horse went on to win graded stakes in longer races, including last year in the Hollywood Turf Cup over at Del Mar last fall. And that's the biggest race in the Del Mar fall meet, for older horses and running long. So I think that this horse will like every bit of the 1.25 miles. Vince Chaminade takes the call. He's ridden this horse the last 2 times and wins 8-5. Certainly merits the favoritism. Then I'm going to put the 8 horse, who is Easter, for Phil D'Amato, and Antonio Fraser, who takes the call, as he's been riding this horse, pretty much the whole time. Now, this horse, what I'm looking at here, it just seems to me like maybe Phil D'Amato has really just, doesn't know where to run this horse, as far as distance. I mean, this is certainly a capable horse, has run some very nice races in graded stakes, but seems like, the horse cannot get up there in shorter races like a mile and 1/8, doesn't get up there either. So maybe, as this horse has gotten older, maybe wants to run longer. So they might have figured out something in the training that maybe the horse wants to go 1.25 miles. So I do think Easter, certainly has a lot of ability because he's shown that in his career. 5-1, we'll put Easter in here, and maybe the longer distance, will be a factor. So we've got the 2, the 6, and the 8 there in the 7th race. All right, let's move over to the 8th race. 8th race, a 6 furlong dirt race, first level allowance. These are fillies and mares. I've got 2 horses I'm going to put in. I'm going to put the 1, Ragtime Rose, for Jeff Mullins, Hector Barrios. Now, I bet this horse last time. She was 9-1. It was her first start on dirt. She had been a turf horse in her career and run some nice races, but it just seems like, maybe, things were not working out for her on the turf races, in her last few. So they moved her over to the dirt, and I thought she ran a really nice race. She ended up getting beat by Safa, which there's no shame in that because Safa is certainly a nice horse. She's accomplished. She's won some races. Safa ended up beating Ragtime Rose on the wire last time they ran. I thought it was a nice race, especially for first time on the dirt. We'll trust Mullins. He's been pushing the right buttons as well this meet. 5-1, we're going to put Ragtime Rose. And then finally, I'm going to end up putting the favorite, who is the 7, Seismic Beauty, for Bob Baffert. Juan Hernandez takes the call. Now, this horse has had 2 career starts, both, maiden special weight. She lost by a neck to One Magic Filly, who, that was back in the summer where there were some really live maiden races in the filly side of things. And One Magic Filly was one of those, Hope Road. Those were the races where those horses were coming out of and everybody was winning, after running with these horses. So Seismic Beauty did just that. She ran second to One Magic Filly, ended up winning her next race in a maiden. And, we haven't seen her since late August. Now, what concerns me is, you're not seeing the usual Bob Baffert work tab, for this horse. These are just kind of average works, but, they're putting a horse in at 4-5. I'm not going to throw her out, but, I think that maybe, Ragtime Rose can give her a run. So we'll put the 1 and the 7 there. All right, now let's go to the next race of the day, being the 9th race. 9th race is down the hill, 6.5 furlongs. Love to see them doing that. I expect the weather to be dry there. I think they should be able to run down the hill. This is a first level allowance race, and these are fillies and mares as well. And, as we've talked about, it seems to me like Santa Anita's horse population probably has more fillies and mares because they run a lot of races for the girls. So, let's see these girls compete, and they do a great job of it. So I've got 3 horses I'm going to put in. I'm going to put the 1, Soho, for John Sadler. This is the program favorite. Umberto Rispoli takes the call. This horse is 5-2 in the program. Soho certainly fits. She's done some nice racing on the grass. But, let's face it, John Sadler has not had the best of meets. I've been waiting for him to, kind of just get going. And I don't know, it's been a while. So a while to take time, to do that. So you can't really just single a Sadler horse and move on. So I'm going to put a few horses in here along with Soho. I'm going to put the 2, who is Accelerina, for Phil D'Amato, Edwin Maldonado. This is the 2 horse here, 10-1 in the program. Now, Accelerina, when we saw her in California originally, she was running in the back in 22. She ended up competing in the Grade 2 Royal Heroine, which is always a nice race. She had won a couple races before that. She, showed a nice record, and then they moved her over to the Midwest, where she was running in some races, on the turf and on the synthetic over at Turfway, and then running grass races at Tampa. So Phil D'Amato brought her back. She was in Bill Morey's care back then. Brought her back. She ended up running a race. Her last race was back in early January, and it was just a runoff race. She kind of stumbled a little bit. It seemed at the start of the race, a bit of a stumble. And it looked to me like maybe she just kind of grabbed the bit and just pulled Rispoli to the lead and just ran off fast fractions. They ran half mile, 5/8, and she just kind of put the cue in the rack there after that. So it looks like, this horse has been kind of a runoff lately. But what I've known for a long, long time from trainers, when you have horses that are kind of runoff speed, you put them down the hill. And for some reason, that downhill just kind of tempers a horse. And it, just kind of tempers down that speed, and they don't get speed crazy, and they end up running very nice races. So I'm guessing Phil D'Amato's going to take a page out of that old school book of horse racing there at Santa Anita with the downhill races. So it looks like, she kind of fits that profile. Excelerina being a runoff, maybe she'll relax down the hill. Edwin Maldonado certainly knows what to do on the front end. So we're going to put her in, and I'm also going to make a win bet on Excelerina as well there. So then finally we're going to put the 8. Going to put the 8 being Tam's Little Angel, Hector Palma. Palma puts Tiago Pereira on for the ride today. Now, Tiago Pereira and Hector Palma, have done some okay work, and Pereira certainly won some nice races and ridden a lot of nice races there in Southern California at the Santa Anita meet. So Hector Palma claimed this horse for 40 from Mike Pipey last fall at Del Mar. He ended up putting her in for a 32,000 claim on the Santa Anita grass and ended up winning nicely with a nice speed figure. So Palma, sees fit to move her up. She qualifies here because they're putting her in for the 50. So you know what? 8-1. We'll put Tam's Little Angel in there. So we've got the 1, the 2, and the 8. All right, now let's move over to the last race of the day. Last race being the 10th race. This is a mile on the grass, condition claimer, 25,000, non-winner of 2. Very, very tough race in my opinion. I don't have a strong opinion, so I'm going to put in several horses here. I've got 6 horses I'm going to put in. I'm going to put in Night Out for Phil D'Amato. It looks like D'Amato does have some live ones today. He might end up having a multi-win day. Umberto Rispoli takes the call here on the 2, 5-1. We'll put Night Out. Certainly fits. Looks like, they dropped this horse in to a 25,000 claim last fall at Santa Anita. Was a favorite that day. Just kind of ran an even race. Bit of a layoff. They're putting him in for again at the same level. So maybe they, they're not completely, pulling the ripcord and dropping. They're putting a horse in again for 25. So it could fit here. Then I'm going to move to the outside here, and I'm going to go with the 7. 7 being Cantaro d'Oro for Doug O'Neill. Now this horse had been running in maiden special weight class for a very long time, and they ended up seeing fit to take this horse over to Turf Paradise and running in one of those maiden special weight with an optional claim on there. A horse ended up getting it done there at a very short price. Now, Doug O'Neill puts this horse in for 25 here. Now, I'm going to see, looks to me like some of these trainers have taken horses over to Turf Paradise over the past couple months to do some running. We'll see if it works. I'll trust in Doug O'Neill. This horse is 10-1. Juan Hernandez will put the 7, Cantaro d'Oro. I'm going to also put the 8, who is Belmont Bill. Anthony Saavedra, Tyler Bays. Now, Belmont Bill, if you follow Southern California racing, Belmont Bill's really knocked around the Southern California turf races for quite a long time, and occasionally pops with a race. So this horse has some speed. This field is kind of lightly talented in my opinion. I could see a horse like this getting out and stealing a race. Belmont Bill certainly has the ability to do that with this level. This horse is 12-1. We'll see if Bays, can get this horse going and you never know, upset the field. And also put the 9 one-time Mark Glatt trainer, Tiago Pereira. Now, Pereira's new on this horse. Kyle Frey had been riding this horse quite a few times over his last many starts. This horse was one of those where he was running good races in maiden special weights, but couldn't get it done. They ended up dropping him in the 50, ran a couple times there, ended up breaking his maiden for the 50 level. And then, they put him in those starter allowance races, and he just, running even races. So maybe Glad getting realistic here, 9-2. This horse certainly fits here. I'm going to put the 10 and Ready to Rumble for Peter Miller, Hector Barrios. Similar profile to the 9. Had been running in special weights, couldn't get it done, dropped the horse into 50, got the maiden broken there at 50, and, is getting realistic here at 25. So that's the program favorite there at 3-1 and Ready to Rumble. And then finally we'll put the 11, Hot Legs Romulo, Doug O'Neill, Frankie Dettori. No, 8-1, Frankie Dettori. We'll take a shot here. I mean, my goal is get this pick 5 live, and we've got 6 horses to pay off. Hot Legs Romolo have been running in starter allowance races and some of these the same level 25,000 claimers. So, it's just kind of a matter of, I feel like a lot of these horses are evenly matched. And, it's almost like you get a good trip or get a good ride, and certainly we can trust that from Frankie Dettori. So we've got the 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the tickets. Okay, so recapping the day here, we've got a late pick 5, which starts in the 6th race, and we've got a win bet in the 9th. So let's start in the 6th race. We've got the 4, 5, 7 with the 2, 6, 8 with the 1, 7 with the 1, 2, 8, and then we've got a win bet on the 2, Accelerina, in the 9th race with the 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now today that ticket cost $162, and I know it's a little bigger than usual. I couldn't narrow it down. Maybe we'll have some scratches. I don't know, but I'm going to go with that since that's going to be really the bet that I make today, beside the win bet on Accelerina. So if you decide to play as is, I wish you the best of luck. If you can always add or subtract, play the pick 3s within it, or play the win bet. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck today. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a great, safe day of racing. And, let's hope for great trips and great luck, because that'll always help us as well. So as always, I ask you to do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button for me. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, dislike, make comments. Let's create a discussion. I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today. And let's make it a great day at Santa Anita, the great race place. And we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow for Super Bowl Sunday, we'll have some horses for you tomorrow. Thank you.